Stand up there in the pulpit and you say, I will teach you infinities. I will say to you that the greatest poem in the English language is the present tense of the verb to be. Now, one asks, what is the present tense of the verb to be? Now, I speak for you, right? It was like this. Present indicative of the verb to be. I am, thou art, she is, he, we are, you are, they are. Why are you not?
Okay, buenos dias, my little darling. Buenos dias. Buenos dias. Pam's going to be calling in at around noon, and I just as soon sleep in, but tried to get this up and ready to go. I've come on a little early simply because with my computer setup and my skills, you never know what can go wrong, so I didn't want to leave it to the last minute. I thought I would go over a couple of things with you before Ham comes on. He's not going to be interested in this at all. Logic. So it's very interesting how the price follows the 50-day moving average. But Logic closed, I guess. We can go through some of those stock prices too. Keep track of my idea of January effect trading. Here's the list I made. I would add a couple more since we've been talking, but that was the list we started with. That was the last day prices. We can go through them, see how they're doing. I have a feeling they're all down. They're all down. But anyway, Logic, it's not the best looking chart, but it still is higher lows. You can't say that about the highs, but it is higher lows if you go back here to here. Of course, in the little intermediate term, there's a couple that are lower. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The chart doesn't matter. I think in the next 2 weeks, within the next 2 weeks, you're going to probably hear an announcement that somebody is buying the show. In other words, a reverse merger. And I think that price will be, I don't know, 50, 60 cents a share. And right now the stock is trading at, of course, here's the two risks. You have to believe the valuation given. It probably won't be a definitive announcement because you need audits done. And if it's not a reverse merger and it's more of a, I don't know, a sideways merger that keeps Logic going, the criminals will just keep selling. But I believe it is going to be a reverse merger. It is going to be a lock, stock, and barrel purchase of the show at an interest to us of, let's call it 50 cents. The stock is trading. And of course, there'll be time. And anyway, we'll just follow it. It's a trade. So Logic closed at, 5 cents. It closed at 0.0479. So that's actually up from, no, it's not. Sorry. That's up from when I first started talking about it, but it's down from the last day of the year. So it's down about 40%. Oh, well. Okay, let's look at GTII. That closed at 20 cents. So it's down 50% from the end of the year. Finger closed at 261, and that is down, I guess, about 40% since the end of the year. Vocal, I'm doing rough numbers because I want to do it quickly. Vocals at 0.0047, and at the end of the year was 0.0087. So I'm going to say that's down by 50% too. CAUD, 98 cents. That's down by a third. GDC, 205. That's down, I don't know, 20%. HNRC closed at 323, basically. It's a long number. That's up. That one's up. That's up about a third, a little less than a third. So that's a wiener. Oh, HNRA I don't have here. I want to add that one. All right, so let me look at Go Logic. Closed at 40 cents. That's down about 20%. CVM. We didn't really focus on that one, but that's at 243. That's down 10%. Wolf. Wow. It's just an onslaught. Wolf closed it at $1.38. That's down more than 50%. That's down 60%. CLNV, Clean Vision, 4 cents, flat. That one's flat. And Northwest Bio. I don't know why I don't have ZJYL on here. Northwest Bio closed at 61 cents. Basically, it's down about 5%. All right, so that's our prices. And Ham will talk to you about ZJYL and the vote. But I want to go over Nextbridge Hydrocarbons made a press release. I want to see if these glasses help me at all. I want to read it to you. Nextbridge Hydrocarbons announces preliminary results of its Johnson Prospect drilling program. They also, I didn't print it out, but they updated on Edgar, on the SEC page, they had an update, which was interesting. And I wish I'd printed it out. Maybe when Ham starts talking, I'll print that out and we'll go over it after Ham is done. Anyway, the company Nextbridge, January 19th, is pleased to announce the results of our recent 5-well drilling program on the Johnson Prospect acreage in the Oro Grande Basin. The Johnson E23 number 4 is a new field discovery. New field discovery. New field discovery. That's important. In the Penn Sand, Penn being Pennsylvanian, I assume, formation, and we believe it is the first viable conventional producer in the Texas portion of the Oro Grande Basin. It goes kind of, if you visualize, it goes into New Mexico, the Oro Grande. First, there were the dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs didn't know where the border was. And they always voted for Biden and Clinton. They didn't come over and vote for Trump way back when. They stayed in the blue section. No, I'm just kidding. The shallow vertical well is at a depth of less than 2,100 feet and had an instantaneous spot flow rate of up to 2,500 MCF per day. It's pretty good, although gas is really cheap right now. That's a nice well. It's not huge. A strong, a really, who cares what I think? But if you had 10,000 MCF a day, that would be a kick-ass well. 2,500 is a really strong well. And by the way, some wells come in at 20, 30, 40, but not in the United States that often. Some of the horizontals they're doing elsewhere, I'll keep it to myself because the information I got was from a private company and he doesn't want competition. So I'll keep that zipped. But there are wells in the United States that produce Qatari type flow rates for natural gas. But this is a good one. I mean, this is a very nice well, 2,500 MCF per day and a peak daily test rate of over 800 MCF. With minimal water. Well, that's a lot lower. So I guess I'd have to ask Pecos Bill what that means. Spot flow rate. I guess the flow rate is sort of an intraday measurement. And then they tested it for the day and it came in at 800 MCF. That's a more normal type well. That's a normal type well. These rates were from an open hole natural completion they didn't do any fracking or acid jobs to open up the pores. So that's very nice. And imagine, I don't know if they have any intention, but if they develop a horizontal drilling program, that might be interesting. Okay, the next well, the Johnson E15 number 1, which is approximately 5,000 feet away from the number 4 discovery wells, showed a comparable gas flares while drilling the Penn Sand. This well is awaiting additional completion work as the company's technical team and consultants are working to develop a drilling and completion program for best practices in the new field discovery. This is really amazing to me. It's a new field. You got 2 successful wells. They both look to be, good wells, they're not barn burners, but you don't need it. You just want cash flow. But more importantly, they're science wells. They're starting to prove up the extent of what they call here a new field discovery in the Penn Sand Formation. The company also continues to work on other potential pay horizons that had good to excellent petrophysical log analysis from our third-party geologists. Of special note, the Bliss Sand / Granite Wash. And Granite Wash is something that I have familiarity with. I'm no genius. I've never heard of the Bliss Sand. But the same difference. the Granite Wash, had over 175 feet of continuous live oil shows. That is one thick mow. That is big. 175 feet of continuous live oil shows with significant pay flags on the petrophysical analysis. Although the well encountered technical problems, see, that's always something. And if this were a public company, the criminals, oh, technical problems, they'd start shorting it down to 5 cents. Adriana Friedman would be out spending her $28 million a year and smiling and giving meaningless speeches. And then the next time Nextbridge needed to raise money, because all investors are the same, they'd say, hey, your stock's 5 cents. And McCabe would be saying, oh, by the way, McCabe's the CEO now. So when I got criticized on a space call because I didn't know the other guy's name, I didn't spend time getting there. How could you listen to me? Because I didn't know the other guy's name. The other guy's gone. Anyway, I lost track of what I was saying there. Okay, 175 feet of continuous live oil shows with significant pay logs. Oh, they would short it into oblivion. And Greg McCabe would, if it were public, would be trying to raise money, let's say, at 100% of the value per share, and the criminals would have it down at 95%. And you end up raising it low, and you dilute. The project's the same. What the dinosaurs did is all the same. First, there were the dinosaurs. But the per share amount gets destroyed by the criminals. Adriana and her henchmen, they don't care. They really don't care about you. But we do, and we'll see what we can do to change everything. Okay, although the well encountered technical problems, this is the deeper well going into the Bliss Sand Granite Wash. Although the well encountered technical problems related to the cement job and was unable to be effectively completed, the technical team is confident that the Bliss Sand Granite Wash could be a significant new field discovery. So it's a second new field discovery on a possible structure of up to 15,000 acres and a closure of up to 1,400 feet. Hey, I'm no genius, but imagine a big lake, 15,000 acres and 1,400 feet deep. It's not a lake, it's rock, and it's got permeability and porosity. But imagine that. If it all flows, if it all communicates, that could be a huge new reserve. With the completion of these initial drilling results, the company will phase in a new, leaner management and operational model to build off these positive developments whilst realizing cost savings and efficiencies. Accordingly, with many thanks for their valuable leadership and the dedication they have shown for Nextbridge's best interests in this transition phase, the company announces the mutually agreed departure of both Clifton Dubois as CEO and board member Luke Hawkins as CFO. Our chairman of the board, Greg McCabe, has agreed to bring his significant industry and Oro Grande expertise to bear without additional compensation as the new CEO of Nextbridge. So now when I talk about Nextbridge and I don't remember or know who Clifton Dubois is, CD for short, who I'm not, I respect him, but I'm responding to and a calling out I got on trying to make me look like an idiot, which I freely admit I am. I do know who Greg McCabe is. So do I go back up and Okay. Roger Wartell has accepted the role of CFO, bringing with him more than 40 years of experience, and he was the former CFO of Torchlight. The company, Nextbridge, wishes both Mr. Dubois and Mr. Hawkins continued success in their future endeavors. Nextbridge is also pleased to announce the addition of Edward Pocock III to its board of directors. Mr. Pocock is a longtime shareholder, USAF veteran, and a public servant with expertise in governmental relations. He is a retired 25-year veteran of law enforcement in the state of Connecticut, commanding both patrol and detective divisions of his department before retirement. During Mr. Pocock's tenure in law enforcement, he gained extensive investigative, that could help us, couldn't it? Experiences in a multitude of disciplines, including the investigation of embezzlement, fraud, theft, and misapplication of funds. It's great. Administratively, Mr. Pocock upheld high ethical standards in police evidence room practices, developing auditing procedures to meet or exceed strict state compliance standards. Additionally, he provided counsel on multiple database development projects for the state and National Incident Reporting System, NIBRS. Mr. Pocock received his BS degree from the Florida Institute of Technology and MS from the University of Louisville, and holds a Six Sigma Black Belt from Villanova University. Okay, 6 minutes to go. As we enter a new year for Nextbridge, Mr. McCabe and the company continue to share the deep concerns of our shareholders regarding the circumstances surrounding the U3 halt of trading prior to Nextbridge spinout and the unknown volume of uncovered short positions which may persist in our company. That's an interesting choice of words. I don't think he had to make the claim to include all of us into our company unless he is an honorable man. So are they all honorable men. For example, FINRA announced that its investigation showed an approximate aggregate short interest position in MMTLP of 2.65 million shares as of December 12, 2023. Let's just read that again for kicks and giggles. FINRA announced that its investigation, and that sounds like they went to work, doesn't it? FINRA announced that its cover-up showed, that's my word, sorry, darn it. FINRA announced that its so-called investigation, I put another word in there. FINRA announced that its efforts to mislead the I can't get through that sentence. FINRA announced that its investigation showed an approximate aggregate short interest position in MMTLP of 2.65 million shares as of December 12, 2023. So why'd you stop trading, FINRA? However, representatives of short sellers have approached Nextbridge about buying considerably more shares than this figure. You want to hear that again? However, representatives of the criminals have approached Nextbridge to see if Nextbridge would issue shares so that the criminals could cover the counterfeit shares the criminals sold fraudulently. That's my sentence. I'll read the exact sentence. However, representatives of short sellers have approached Nextbridge about buying considerably more shares than this figure. So what does that mean? That means that FINRA halted trading on evidence and belief when the stock was trading over 1,000 and went over 4,000. They halted trading, froze it. Then FINRA helps the criminals by saying there's less than 3 million short. Not a big problem. So why'd you close trading, FINRA? Jessica. And then representatives, and these are the placement agents. These are the sleazeballs like Jeff Easton and Kurt Kramer and Yorkville Advisor, these kind of people have approached, and not specifically those people, but these kind of people have approached Nextbridge about buying considerably more shares than this figure. In other words, the shorts want to cover their counterfeit shares, their naked short, not at 1,000, not at 4,000. They want to do it in an orderly fashion, which Jessica Hopper, I believe, at FINRA gave them. Do you think the system is set up to steal from you? And they want to put this all on the back so there's no front page news. All right, I've got 2 minutes. We have offered to speak with FINRA and the SEC to discuss our data, and we also hope to receive clarity on the basis of their own conflicting data. He's such a gentleman, Greg McCabe. We are awaiting their reply and believe they share our concern about the discrepancies. They're so nice down in the South. Bless FINRA's heart. Bless FINRA's heart. We look forward to cooperating with both regulatory agencies. See, he's a good man, and hopefully helping contribute to a clearer public accounting of the relevant figures. In addition to FINRA and the SEC, the company has communicated the above concerns directly to the offices of U.S. congressmen and senators, the U.S. Senate Banking Committee, and the Texas Attorney General, and is cooperating with all relevant authorities in the interest of transparency for our investors. We urge those with the ability to obtain a fully audited accounting of positions in our predecessor security as of the spinout to do so with haste and make public what they can through whatever category of security, long or short, onshore, offshore, by parties registered with FINRA or not. You got to like this guy. For its own part, Nextbridge intends to aggressively explore options for delivering a potential liquidity solution for shareholders. In pursuit of an innovative and dynamic strategy, the company has recently engaged John Tobacco and his consulting firm of Token Team LLC. Members of Token Team led the first ever successful public digital dividend on the blockchain, executed by Overstock.com subsidiary T0, and Token Team will help Nextbridge fully understand all facets and consequences of a potential listing on a blockchain trading platform. Our inquiry into this option is in its infancy, and no decisions have been made by the company at its time. But we wanted to share an example of how Nextbridge, our mensches, and everyone else are doomkopfs. No. How Nextbridge is seeking to take action within its means to help our loyal, frustrated, yet relentless retail investor base. I say again, you got to like this guy. Finally, the company's chairman and new CEO, Mr. McCabe, stated, quote, I would personally like to thank all Nextbridge hydrocarbon shareholders, especially William and Lucky. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. He said, quote, I would like to personally thank all Nextbridge hydrocarbon shareholders and the entire MMTLP Army for your efforts in making sure that our story is told. Because of these efforts, the light is now shining bright on this serious problem. I am also thankful for the time and effort of the many concerned state and federal congressional representatives who have worked diligently to help find answers to this untenable situation. America has the greatest financial system in the world, or did, but we can recover. However, it is not without its flaws. I am hopeful that Congress and the SEC will oversee a solution which is fair and equitable to all. Nextbridge Hydrocarbons is certainly willing to be part of the solution. Gotta like this man and his whole team, and you gotta love Anna and I guess Johnny Tobacco. I've never met or spoken with him. Pedro Philly, 100%. Syntax. The lady with a voice for TV and a face for radio. I'm having a hard time remembering all of the names. Busy Brands. So many people. So many people. Richard Hoffman, a bunch of lawyers, a bunch of people that have gone down to the Senate. Don Fizz. I mean, it's incredible. So that's the Nextbridge report. Ham will be calling in. Junk Savvy and KYP and Jennifer L and Patrick and Quintana. I mean, it's hard. There's so many. I know I'm leaving out 3 dozen people. All right. So I'm going to go back to the top and start. I don't know. I think he's supposed to call in to me. So I'll go down these. I'll go back to the top and see you again. Yeah. Chilly Northeast. I don't know what part of Virginia Donna lives in, but DC's chilly. Hey, Billy Ray, looking good, Billy Ray. Feeling good, Louie. Hey, Brian. So now what? Heat wave. In Scotland? In Scotland, it's 3 degrees. Scotland? Ach, no. I know, 10:31. Well, it's 12:05. He's supposed to call in. But he's driving, so he might have pulled over, grab a cuppa, get a cuppa, and get something to a comestible. BB Visions, Brenda, Frank, Brandon. Thank you, Linda. Heath, Jeff. Hey, US1 Tahoe. Peace, my friend. Hey, Mark. I hope your family is blessed, and I hope Celeste is having fun. Hey, Girth Mike, Randell, Pat Shagoya. Good morning, Pat. All set up for the shorts. That's encouraging. Well, that's David Morgan, Ronald, is affectionately known as the Silver Guru. And he's specifically talking about the silver, the what do you call it? The futures exchanges in precious metals and other commodities. That's what that quote is specifically related to. But in my opinion, the regulatory environment, the back offices, the automatic systems, the prejudice is all set up. And so I quoted him. It's all set up for the shorts. Yeah, it's not very encouraging. I agree with you, but I mean, you want me to tell you it's not that way? Hey, I already said hi to Mark. Barry Jones. It's Barry White. Wow, Denver, Michelle. Peace, happiness, love. Anthony T, Donna M. CJ Yukon loved Ham's passion yesterday. He was on fire. Dun, 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 dun. I forget who does that. Today feels like Christmas. Oh wow, they got a new home. That's wonderful. US Tahoe won what? Sitting in the hospital. That's great, US One. We'll try to entertain when Ham comes on and give the little lady, that's your words, not mine, so I'm being respectful, give her a reason to smile and you enjoy your company. Hey, KYP, PYP, what's up with GTII? Well, we'll find out. Oh, Celeste now has her house back. And I hope she gets a puppy dog. William, can you talk about the NBH press release? I did, and I can do more talking about it, but I'm going to go through these messages until Ham comes in. But my reaction to it is what's been announced here is 2 new field discoveries. A new field isn't just the surface area of a lease. It's, if you think in terms of a layer cake or I don't know what other idea to give you, a wedding cake or something, where you drill down, the icing is where the oil is. And maybe it's it's a wedding cake that has a weird design. So you go down into where the icing is, and the whole reason you produce and then you drill additional wells is to see where the edge of the icing is, where a fault. I mean, maybe pretend the wedding cake fell over and the layers slid against each other, creating a break in the icing strips. So one is horizontally below the other horizontal icing. So the reason you drill out is to find out where those faults might be, to find out how the extent of this new field discovery. But each strip of icing is a new field. And so anyway, the first 2 wells are shallow, And those are pretty decent wells, but they're shallow. They're not going to change your life. They're not going to make you Jeb the millionaire. But what's good about them, they hold the lease. As long you drilled, you produced, you hold the lease. And secondly, the cash flow pays for overhead. The cash flow also, what matters in an oil and gas company, by the way, the metric that matters is cash flow. Cash flow allows you to go to a bank, borrow money, to drill developmental wells, not exploratory wells, or to build out your infrastructure. The risk, nothing's risk-free, but the closer to risk-free aspects of building out an oil and gas company. These two wells, what I'm not clear of, but I could probably figure it out, the number one well is 5,000 feet away from the number 4. They drilled 5 wells, but it doesn't say here. Actually, it doesn't even say they drilled 5 wells. It says to announce the results of our recent 5-well drilling program. Maybe one of those was a water disposal well. I don't know, but there doesn't seem to be water here. So anyway, Martin, I think that is a very clean, exciting, as they call it, new field, shallow prospect that they're drilling up, and it's very good for Nextbridge. To me, this granite wash play is highly pounceable. You've got 175 feet. 175 feet. I don't know how tall you are, Martin. Let's say you're 7.5 feet tall. I don't know. That's a lot of feet. That's like a 17 or 18 story building. When you go out to buy a cup of coffee and you're driving down into downtown, just look at any 16, 17, 18 story building. That's pretty big. So that's exciting. But it's 15 possible acreage, 15,000 acres, and it's up to 1,400 feet deep. We don't know enough yet, but it's enough to get excited about. And that's just one. My understanding is they have 7 of these. They call them benches, but 7 of these were the icing on the wedding cake before it fell. What is the definition of is? It depends on your definition of is. I don't know why he's not calling in. I'll call him after I get to the bottom of these questions. But Martin, I just want to show you what I mean. I have no idea if there's a fault, but that's what I'm trying to talk about. When the dinosaurs epoch went on and on and on, that 175 feet would be connected, and you could just automatically assume that whole reservoir communicated and flowed. Here, I have them. I shouldn't do that. I have it communicating here. Well, it depends on the thickness of the fault. But hey, I'm not a great artist. But if the wedding cake fell over and the icing slipped down on one side, well, then if you drill over here and then one here, you get an idea of the reservoir, but you haven't found this fault yet. Apparently, and smarter people than I'll get on here, like Bill Pecos, when it's producing, you can sense that the reservoir isn't doesn't have the full extent that might be implied. Anyway, I think, Martin, this is a great press release operationally. I think it's also a great press release in that it shows that Greg McCabe is working, as I've said all along. I don't think we need to be as stressed out. The criminals are Wall Street, not all of Wall Street. A lot of them don't know what's going on. The fog has been pulled over their eyes, but they're honest. Some, I'd say most of the people are. But anyway, I think it's an excellent press release, and I think it's above the call of duty for Greg McCabe and his team, and I think it shows the integrity, the fight, and the care in the man. So, okay, Laffy. I just answered Laffy. We can do more talking after I call him, Laffy. But thank you, and Ralph, same ditto. Still 12,500 points. I don't know what that means. So we're rich again? I don't know, Corey Messina. I don't think we're rich. I don't know what you're talking about. In our statements, we're not rich. But I think this Nextbridge, the shallow new field discovery, isn't going to move the needle in terms of reserves, which scare the criminal shorts. It won't scare them. But this deeper play, this Bliss / Granite Wash, that could. And those are 2 of 7 or more potential reservoirs. So it's I think it's a good thing. Losing my butt on everything you just mentioned. Yeah, I am too. I'm not in all of them, but I'm in most of them. And Ian, it's a good time to talk about, we've been trained to look at the stock price, and the stock price reflects all the information you need to know. And therefore, you're losing. Well, you're not. And I don't want you to be cavalier about it. They say if you don't lose your money until you sell. That's being a little bit too cute, because sometimes you have to sell. But and sometimes you should sell. But Ian, when I got to be careful, and it looks like you can kick my ass. I say that in good spirits and politely. But I don't know. Pick one of these randomly. Ham will talk to you about Finger. I mean, we can pick Logic. It traded at, it's closed at $4, like 4 cents. I can't remember, 5 cents. It closed at this, and that probably is a reasonable price for Logic. If you know there's the potential of a reverse merger, but you also know it's a shell, because a shell, you can buy some shells for $250,000. Some shells go for $5 million, depending on the quality of the shell. This is a good quality shell. But Ian, my point is, the market tells you 5 cents. And of course, you have to trust your information. And that's where some risk comes in. But if there is a reverse merger, of if a reverse merger is announced over the next 2 or 3, 4 weeks of a $600 million company buying the shell, and we own 10% of the new co, that's 60 million divided by 100 and whatever, 40 some million shares. It works out to 40 or 50 cents a share that you're buying for 5 cents. So that's just one example. I mean, there's risks there. Each one of these is different. I mean, just picking Wolf, it's what, $1 something? I can't remember what I said. But their revenue continues, and they're mining Bitcoin, and they use the cheap energy from a nuclear power plant while the demand is not high, the excess energy. Anyway, I guess all the point I want to make is I don't believe that prices show the value of the company. So that's where you get your opportunity to invest. And yes, over time, there is a discrepancy with the stock price and the value of the company. A lot of this is caused by short selling. Their whole incentive is to sell, 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 and keep selling. Hey, the stocks to sell some more because no one enforces any of the rules. But it will change. And when companies are successful in a big way, it catches the criminals out. They don't do it for free, even though they try to do it risklessly by cheating and bribing and paying off people. They can't eliminate all the risk. I have no thoughts on fund stock. I saw it was up, but I don't really have any thoughts. I'll try to study it. Hey, Ryan. All right. Oh, this is good. I didn't get my vote yet, but we all need to vote. You voted on E-Trade? I have E-Trade. I didn't get. I'll have to look that up, CJ Yukon. But we need to vote on ZJYL, and that might be a fun one for us. That's not a promise. That Fro girl. Happy Saturday. Guitar. All right, I'm trying to get to the bottom. I had a son and a girlfriend. I don't know how to interpret that comment, but if you don't want to be loyal to him, I'm sure it's water off his back. If you do want to be loyal to him, you can stand right next to me. William, the talk Fox News this week. Do you have some news about MMTBLP and Nextbridge? 1-for-1 and the 5.7 billion barrels of oil. I'm not sure, TA Strupp, what you're referring to, but I did just read this news report. There is a filing. The other thing that came out of this news release is the shorts are calling directly to Nextbridge saying, hey, we want to buy some shares. If I were Greg McCabe, I say, sure. We'll issue to you shares at $1,500 each. That's preposterous. That's too high. Well, you're asking us to issue shares specifically to you and leaving everyone else out, but we're willing to do it because you want to get out of your position. But in return for being first in line, you got to pay up $1,500. That's what I do. I always ask, but is GTII a dead cat now? I lost about 50% so far in yeah, it's down 50%, Mike. It is. I just is it a dead cat? I mean, look, it could be. I don't think so. I think the whales have massive positions in GTII. I've said, Mike, I think Reichman needs to, he's come in now and he's trying to control everything. I think he needs to get back to his golf cart or his retirement or expire for, just don't crush the wings on the butterfly. Let the butterfly fly. Now, having said that, the thing that needs to happen with GTI is something. And Mike, it's so repetitive, but I think if Finger goes or one of these other goes, money will come back to GTII. But everything GTII has tried to do has either been sabotaged or vetoed, and the selling or delayed by court proceedings, the selling continues, and no one cares. But the company so far has fought on the side of shareholders. So I've tried to explain also for the last 2 or 3 months a strategy for tax loss harvesting, but I don't know if that's appropriate to do now. At 20 cents, you could get out of GTII and buy 4 shares of Logic. And I think then that could turn your 1 share of GTII into maybe 10 or 20. If Logic were to go up, you sold Logic and bought back GTII. But having said that, now that it's 20 cents, there's not much room for error in that strategy. All you would need is some aggressive buying out. It's the same story. Alpine could be kicked out by FINRA. It could be, they were, but it could be found to be valid. And then there's a buy-in and the stock could be running up unbelievably. So if you sell here, you miss the snapback rally. The risk reward of selling at $1 is you save $1 on the downside, but you risk that it maybe runs to $4, $5, $6, $10 was the previous high, $8.97. But if you sell at 20 cents, you're saving 20 cents. It could still do that run. On the other hand, Mike, it could just turn into CRTD too. It's risky. It's risky. I don't think the CEO is going to hang on and screw things up much longer unless he's financially desiring to destroy his own net worth. I think the whales are going to come in, and I'm going to do everything I can to make an event happen. Obviously, and another thing, Mike. What's that move? What's that move? That's down 90%. It's down 90 or 95. I don't know. You guys are smarter than I am. It's down 90%. What's that move? What's that move? Plus 10x. Which one is easier to count on? It's difficult, Mike. I really think the focus of the whales is going to be on finger, and I think money's going to be made on finger. I think there's a couple of trades there in ZJYL and GDC, possibly. I've given you some other ideas, but I think there's going to be some time in GTII. All right, let's just move on. I don't know what else to say. You can question Smith. I tried to answer your question. I can't remember it. It made such an impression. GTI can't go to zero because the float is owned many times over. Well, it can go to zero in the way that DBMM, HPIL, VNUE, GTLL, CRTD, VOCL. It can get as close to zero as possible. But we're going to fight it. And I would say, MM Echo, the biggest difference with GTII is it's one group of naked shorts, the Kramers and their clients. And maybe now you could call the second group Alpine and their henchmen. But it's not spread out. So Ham's been able to track it. But there's plenty of risk in it. All I can tell you, Echo, is at some point, and I don't think it's today or tomorrow, but at some point from some price, it is possible that you will have an explosive upside rally in GTII. Now, when it runs, I expect a lot of people to sell early, and that's fine. That's totally fine. It's totally fine. Hey, not legal advice. The property is rich with easily accessible natural gas. So not legal advice. Natural gas requires infrastructure, but it's simple, I guess, to put down. It needs some money to do. Gas prices are cheap, but I think natural gas is the future of the United States. But also what you might find with this guy, I don't know about him, never spoken to him, Johnny Tobacco, but he does these digital coins, I guess, or tokenization. Natural gas is a perfect source of power for mining Bitcoin or mining other tokens. So I would submit that's an upside area for the company as well. Dubois was worthless. There we go. Dubois was worthless. That's that Rodney Dangerfield line. He just met a new girl. Oh yeah. She's beautiful. Oh yeah. Virginia Dubois. She asked me to call her VD for short. That used to be funny. VD used to make people laugh. All right. What a joke. Look, it's my opinion. I don't know how long, Mike, you've been in GTII, but I do think that the stock was in the middle of a squeeze a little over a year ago. Collectively, we decided to go as quickly as we could, pell-mell, feet overhead into COSM, and we destroyed our own pressure that was building on a squeeze. So it didn't happen. This is like herding cats, Mike Hayden. GTII is a piece of shit company and always has been. But it had a good strategy, and it has management who borrowed from the criminal firm of Power Up Lending and two brothers that only a mother could be proud of. And then the CEO purchased those share that toxic convertible note back. And Mike Hayden, GTII is purely trying to catch lightning in a bottle in the form of a short squeeze, caused, in Ham's estimate, 440 million shares sold that don't exist. That was confirmed in black and white by the NSCC, writing in court that Alpine was in violation of its financial guidelines requirements because of a large I don't know if they said naked, a large short position in GTII. They put it in black and white. So if you want to call it a joke, it's a joke. Sell it, take the loss, and that may be the right thing to do. But luckily, there's some other stocks out here that you could put that rump amount of money in that could give you an opportunity to make some of that money back, and then maybe into another, and you can get back to where you were. But Mike, when I first got involved with GTII, there was 50 million naked counterfeit shares by the Kramer brothers and their clients. Something like that. Later, we found out there might have been an additional 200 to 400 million created when it was called Treetop Industries. But leave that out for now. There was 50 million, and the float was estimated at 20 to 30 million. Well, now, Mike, they continued to sell. I don't find it funny. I don't think it's a joke. But the criminals have won in the short run. Why? Because, Mike, people go, oh, what a joke. Oh, that was a stupid recommendation. Well, yeah. It's not a company. It's an incubator. But you know what? Back before you were born, incubators were all the rage on Wall Street. They were private, but out of incubators, you bring companies in, you incubate 2 dozen, 3 dozen. You only need 1 or 2 to be successful, and boom. I think Google was part of an incubator, but I remember I was on the board of a company I raised money for, and one of the guys on the board, our company was on the board. I was always, I audited all the meetings. My associate actually was the face of the board, but anyway, whatever. I attended all the meetings and was given the courtesy of being part of the one seat our financial company had. Anyway, the guy that sat actually across the table, back when the cell phones were big, he told me about Google when it was in test form. And now look at it. It's my memory that it was incubated. I could be wrong, but the whole point of an incubator is that you help a company grow and then you keep a piece of the action. That's the idea behind GTII. But Mike Hayden. the stock goes to 9. I don't know what you paid for it. And on the way back down, you don't look at charts. You don't see where there's some points where it might trade off. I don't know what to say about that because I too did not sell when it went to 897. I didn't sell. I thought it was going to break out, but I didn't count on the Three Musketeers from COSM, but I should have realized it. But we're in a battle. So you can come on with these quick comments, but the rest of us are trying to make financial decisions, and we're not just here to hurl platitudes. And yeah, it is. I've been talking about how to do tax losses, I think, for 3 months. And if you didn't read between the lines of how I've talked about it, what did you want me to do, Mike? Come out and when it's 80 cents and say, I think you should sell GTII. I couldn't do that. But I could talk about strategies and de-emphasize GTII in my own way. But anyway, I don't know. I I'm just going to thank you for your comment, Mike, and I'll read it again. It's going to resonate. It's going to ring with so many people here. Well, I guess it was a good way to get a tax loss. What a joke. I'm going to move on. Yeah, ESK, we'll talk. That's this guy. Yes, we can ask him. I don't find that a very encouraging hire, but we'll ask him. Why don't you find a dinosaur? Because you get your ass kicked? You get you're very sore from a dinosaur. Hey, what's going in here? Book reading? No, Wizened, thanks for stopping by. I was reading Nextbridge's press release and going over it. But tomorrow I'll read from John 24 and Peter 12:1. I'm just making a joke. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the Bible. Nobody wants to get rich slow. Yeah, that's a good point. Not legal advice. All right, I'm going to call Ham. I've been waiting for him to call in. Let me just go down these quickly. Let me just go down things quickly. Yeah, I don't know the finger proxy. We can ask that. And that one's good too. ZJYL. My info over the past several months is Nextbridge was approached to sell many millions of shares to cover. Yeah, not legal advice. I think it's the solution. It's just obvious. And it was obvious a year and a half ago, or whatever the months are. But, lawyers got to do it their way. But the key is, I hope Greg McCabe doesn't sell it at a low price. High, make it hurt, make it sting. Oh, God. These jokes. Thanks go out to Not Legal Advice for his jokes. Don't encourage him. I'm sure Jessica Hopper is using her Rolodex to make a big salary. Well, I don't know. Not ESK, not legal advice, just put up that he's been hearing millions. This is what the criminals always do. They went to GTII many times. They went to COSM, and the guy said, "Sure, why not?" They went to Roger, and he said, "Sure, why not?" And they're going to go to Jeremy Frommer, and he'll say, "Sure, why not?" I think he will. But the difference here is we're not public. So the criminals, they were trying to get it down to under $3, and then they would have tried to get it down to what if we were still trading, we'd be at 10 cents because there's no news. And even this news they'd be selling against. And so when they would approach Nextbridge, who would have no access to capital at higher prices because the stock price would be low, well, we'll buy it at 25 cents. And Nextbridge, like if they were dummies, they're not, they would say, okay, sure, that we got money. And then the criminals will keep shorting. It's all a major scam that goes throughout the markets. And Jessica Hopper, Robert Cook, Adina Friedman, Gary Gensler, Colbert Croswell, or whatever his name is, they should all be ashamed of themselves. But anyway, the good news here is Greg McCabe can set the price. There is no stock price. There isn't one. And he has this information. He has the geology. He has the reserve report. Like I just said, I think he should start really high to the first ones in, because the trades, and don't you mistake it, Greg McCabe knows the trade started at 1,000, 4,000 on that morning before Jessica Hopper, on behalf of Wall Street, on behalf of the big hedge funds, on behalf of the criminals, halted trading. She didn't do that to help you or to make sure that the markets are fair, transparent, and that everyone has to follow the rules. That whole lard ass whatever his title is of FINRA, Robert Cook, and all the way down, they're all there to protect the criminals. And she did her job well. She spins out, gets a job. Anyway, I think I'm getting to the bottom. Well, KYP, he offered me, I could get stem cells, and I'm for what? I've got guns of my own. -25. Woo! Woo! I would love to be stuck by a wood stove reading books. I love it. I can't read very well because of my eye, but I would love to be by a wood stove reading books with a dog. And Wi-Fi. And this, I don't need anything but this and this chair and this. Hey, Kilby. Hey, the one. All right, I'm going to call him. He hasn't called in. I don't know why. All right, let's see. McCabe is not trying to burn down the house, giving the shorts a chance to solve quickly and not to, yeah, exactly, MV chair. But more than that, I think he's being a gentleman, which he is. But that doesn't mean he can't have a high price. 1,000, 2,000 a share isn't going to destroy the overall market. MVP chair, one thing you don't think about, one doesn't think about. Let's just picture a world where Celeste is queen. And no, I'm having fun. Picture a world where all of the shorts are at Merrill Lynch and we are all over at Wells Fargo. If Merrill Lynch had to pay $2,000 a share, Merrill's in trouble. Merrill's going down. But Wells Fargo all of a sudden has a bunch of accounts that got $2,000 each share. Wells Fargo's booming. So the market, as you put it, it's not going to destroy the overall market. It's just going to move money around. That's all it's going to do. On the other hand, you're right. If it had a massive squeeze, it might have brought down. I think it would have brought down one or two prime brokers. Was that Earth, Wind, and Fire? I didn't think it was Earth, Wind, Fire. That's not. Thumb, thumb, thumb. That's not Earth, Wind, and Fire. Fire. Maybe it was. Maybe it was Billy Ray. It wasn't one of the best songs. Every man has a place, and in his heart there's a space for his favorite fantasy. Take a ride in the sky on the ship Fantasy, and all your dreams will come true miles away. You can ride in the sky on the ship called Fantasy. All right, I'm trying to get to the bottom. Oh my God, still talking? Oh my God, still watching? 4 new drilling machines. I'm trying to get to the bottom before I call. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you, Stephen Carras. I've always looked forward to your comments. You are a joy. Where are the LGIQ gains? Down, 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 down. Yeah, I don't think it's down, 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 though, Crossbones. Since the shell was announced, the D-SPAC, they got crushed. Yes, that was destroyed, but they also, one ex-dividend, CAUD. So you got that separately. But that doesn't look like down, down, down since then. It actually looks like really up and a pullback, Crossbones. But anyway, you don't have to hang on. Don't buy it. We'll see. We'll see who comes in and buys the show. She hasn't had to talk about yours back. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've lost a lot with Crossbones. All right, here he is. Here he is. I have 2 Crossbones. I have 2. All right, hang on 1 second. I had the speaker ready for you, but it's taken so long. Hang on. That it disconnected. Hang on.
Battery 60%.
Okay.
Connected to Bill's iPhone.
Now. All right. The voice. You
Been driving since 3 in the morning. I'm in Florence, South Carolina, I think. That's right. I'm still south of the border. Anyway, I was just speaking with Richard. It's not legal advice. and we had a good call. And I gave him some. I was bringing him up to speed on as much as I could. And before I get going, well, there's any questions? I'm driving, so it's
Yeah, people are asking on GTII whether you talk to the new guy at GTII. They're talking about Finger. What's the vote, the proxy for Finger? And they're talking about the proxy for ZJYL.
Well, again, the proxy for Finger is just an ordinary shareholder thing, like you approve whatever the board's trying to do, just vote with the company. That's all. That's just normal business. They had to send something out. I was driving and everybody was sending me pictures of the vote. I can't see it while I was driving. I knew what the hell it was. But I heard it was just ordinary corporate stuff. That ZJYL, everyone's voted already, I heard, and I'm told they got the vote already done. They won it already, so I'm not concerned about that. See what happens there. And GTII, I told you I spoke with the consultant. He's working on things. There's the mining deal, and I heard there's other things going on. I'm not a corporate insider, so I don't know what they're going to do. But the guy stood tall for all these years. He could have taken money from Charlie Mayo 3 years ago, I think, William. I can't remember how long ago. Everybody can hear his voicemail. It's right on Twitter. And when I get someplace, I'll post it again and retweet it again. You can hear it yourself. We put it on a barcode at the Southern District in New York and at the FBI. If you scanned your phone on it, you could have heard the guy Charlie Mayo, which is Kramer's right-hand man, trying to get a deal from the CEO, and the CEO told him no. So again, these things happen all the time. When you hear me tell you that people are getting calls, those are all true. Big shareholders get calls. They get calls get people to try to sell the stock. I heard the CEO of GTI, they tried to call his ex-wife up, who's got dementia, and the maid intercepted the call, and they told her to tell her to sell the stock, hurry up, because they were trying to get her to sell her position. She's had it for 100 years, and she has dementia. That shows you the desperation of these guys and how low life they are. And I told you yesterday, one of the toxic guys who just got busted by the SEC, he told a buddy of ours that the Kramers, he believes the Kramers are whistleblowers to the FBI on everybody. They're turning people in. Maybe that's why they're still walking around, because it's impossible that the guys that are complete criminals are giving up everybody else and still walking around. That's the Whitey Bulger plan, I guess. If anybody doesn't know, it's about a criminal from Boston who worked with the feds, gave up all his friends, and was still acting as a crime family under the Fed's watch. So I don't know, but that's one of the things that was happening. Go ahead. Anything else, William? Go ahead.
Well, you didn't talk about the ZJYL proxy and ZJYL.
I said it.
Oh, you did already. All right.
My friend who owns a big position said that the vote already passed. Everyone voted it already.
Not me.
People that count.
Let me see what other questions. I mean, that was mainly it. Was GTII? One guy asked, "Is GTII dead?" You answered GTII, and there were a lot of questions on, Nextbridge, but you don't know much about Nextbridge. They put out a press release and admitted that that representatives of the shorts have contacted the company to buy shares, but they haven't done it.
Really?
Yeah, he says, despite the passage of a year since the U3 halt, critical facts remain elusive. For example, FINRA announced that its investigation showed an approximate aggregate short interest position in MMTLP of 2.65 million shares as of December 12, 2023. However, representatives of short sellers have approached Nextbridge about buying considerably more shares than that figure.
They can't even get that
FINRA.
right. That is amazing. I can tell you something I heard about MMTLP. I believe I hear there's one or maybe two whistleblowers inside the brokerage community that are going to come out against the brokerage community, guys working at firms, about the sales to deliver inside the firm. So let's see if that comes out. That's true.
Well, they hired Johnny Tobacco and for tokenization, I guess, advice. I don't know. And then they had some results.
Listen, Johnny Tobacco is great for understanding the back office of Wall Street. You're not going to get a better insider than that. He knows everything about stock loan. He knows what's going on. He knows about the shorts. He knows. I'm sure he doesn't know who's done it to these guys, but he understands the workings of it. So listen, if you need experts, there's your expert.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the great thing is the tone. He said, I'll see if I can find it, but he said something about MMTLP and that they're working to help our company. So this guy, Greg McCabe, has taken over the company. It's good. This is a good press release. Anyway, people were asking about that. There's not much you can add to that, I don't think.
I just added what I heard.
That's great.
Great. When I hear more or again, when they give me more, I'll release it. That's it.
Imagine if it were still a public. Sorry.
You can make more money as a whistleblower. If you're working for a brokerage firm and you know this, come out and whistleblow. You make more money. Give it out to everybody.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they?
Okay. Kit Kitteridge has a question on Finger, which maybe you know or not. Will the proxy count be more than the shares outstanding, or is there a mechanism to adjust that?
I can tell you how that's going to work.
Okay.
Merrill Lynch, for example, let's say Merrill Lynch has 100,000 shares. At the DTC, they have 10,000. That means they got 90,000 fake shares. When a vote comes, they're going to get proxy cards for 10,000 shares only, not 100. Merrill Lynch will make that 10,000 share proxy. They'll spread that out. So if you own 10,000 shares, you may get a proxy card for 1,000 shares. You understand?
Yeah.
So they spread it out as best they can. And then you're going to get people who are on like 3,000 shares. They're never going to get a proxy card. And those people are not going to say shit about it. They're not going to know. I didn't get a card. All right, what's the big deal? And that's how this is how that's lived all these years. Retail investors, you don't get a proxy card. Most of us got a proxy card and we say, what the hell are we voting on? Just like you just asked me, right?
Right.
That shows you that we're all uneducated about voting, all this type of stuff, why companies have to vote. People don't read the statements, all the paper. When you get a proxy card or a voting card, usually you get the information what you're voting on, right? You get a document with it, right? William, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And people don't read it. They throw it out. And I was guilty of that many times. What's this vote for? I don't even own the stock anymore. I throw it out. I wouldn't even read it. Throw it out. I don't own it.
That doesn't surprise me. Well, yeah. So that you just gave your thoughts on Nextbridge PR released yesterday. Somebody asked the day before when you were on, and we didn't get to it. Do you think there's going to be a settlement in MMTLP?
But if you don't think there's going to be a settlement, you're kooky. That's all I can tell you. If there's whistleblowers coming out, people the senators are signing up. I forget the guy's name who's running around Congress. What's his name? I forgot his name. William? The guy,
I'm remembering Crapo. No?
not the senator, the guy that's running around talking. He walks the suit and tie.
Oh,
with
Don
badges on.
Fizz. Don Fizz.
Every day he's taking a photo with somebody else. Matt Gates, he's moving up the ladder, right?
Right.
But he's not just taking pictures with these people. He's telling them the story, getting them to sign. It's only getting stronger, and it helps everybody. The criminals can be pissing on us, but there's something major going on with this MMTLP that's going to expose all of them. So in the end, they're all going to get busted.
Well, and I think Greg McCabe, I've never spoken to him, but it's just my read on him. He wants to get this to a resolution where the answers are there. So it's good, all good.
It's when it does happen, it's going to be a windfall for everybody involved. So the shorts are going to have to pay their way out of this thing. There's not even a question about it. So it's just a matter of how big the loss is going to be. And once they start doing it, then there's going to be criminal charges against these guys for fraud. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that they're probably looking at. So if anyone's in MMTLP, just keep the pressure up. That's it.
So
listen, the shorts always try to attack anybody that's trying to expose them. It's pretty easy. They went after John Berger, right? They go after everybody. Oh, everybody's a criminal. But what we're saying is settle. What is going on here? Settle the trades. Has MMTLP even trading? It's the whole thing's a make believe. They were trading a make believe number. Can you believe it?
yeah, it's pervasive fraud. Yeah, I don't see any other questions along those lines.
How's the weather in the Northeast?
Very cold, according to the feedback up north. And here it is cold, but the sun's out, so the salt is keeping the roads safe. But it's nippy.
It was 38 degrees in Jacksonville this morning.
38 degrees. Wow.
It was 65 when I left in Fort Lauderdale, and it was 39 at 6 o'clock, I guess, in Jacksonville. It's 39 now, and I'm somewhere in, like I said, South Carolina.
I guess
right
orange futures are going to go up.
It's very cold.
If the Kramers are in bed with the FBI, GTII, does that somehow affect the fact that the Kramers?
Nah, listen. The Kramers, Alpine. Look at all the proof that's come out. GTII. We're hearing the Kramers are tied to the FBI. Alpine got busted, right?
Right.
All the unregistered toxic lenders are getting busted left and right. I'm sure they all know each other. How are the Kramers not getting pulled in? It's just
the question is, will that somehow inoculate the 400 million shares that have been shorted?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
If the Kramers are giving up people, that's because they're trying to keep their ass out of the slammer for a long time. So, William, I figured out where I am. I'm 16 miles before I cross the border into North Carolina, south of the border. I don't know if you ever seen that.
I've been there. It's your last chance to buy firecrackers.
So I'm gonna buy some fudge and some fireworks.
There's also a place right near there where you can get the best barbecue pig.
Yeah,
but I don't know if you eat
Ace
ham.
I think Ace lives this way. Ace, I found the best place for fireworks and fudge. That's the sign I just passed. They're selling fudge and fireworks. the craziest combination ever.
one of your listeners is in Richmond, Virginia, you can stop and.
I'm like, if I pull up, you never get rid of me. I'm going to stop soon. And I got another 190 miles to go. Someplace I'm stopping in North Carolina somewhere. I've been driving since 3:00 in the morning. I'm done.
Well, I got on early waiting for you. I thought you were calling in. Maybe you wanted me to call you. I don't know, but
I thought you were going to call me back. That's what I was waiting for. I'm sitting in the car, so let me call.
so anyway,
William, I'm doing 85 miles an hour steering straight, going on a straight line for 8 hours. I was waiting for you to call me.
oh, sorry.
My private jet was out of service today, so I'm actually driving back and
Then
forth.
it was my fault. I belabored this whole process with the listeners.
I wanted you to call because I was driving, at least entertain me, so I could talk to them. I'm sitting in the car with 2 dogs that are not happy.
Aw. So are you going to sleep somewhere overnight?
Yeah, I rented a hotel. I can't make it always back. I got from the location where I'm going to stop. It's another 8 hours. I don't want to press it because it'll get me back to New York around 11. I don't want to do that.
So all Jeff Easton has to do is go to every hotel in North Carolina and see if you're there.
I'll put a note on the door. I'm here.
Here's one guy in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
I went right past him already. I'm at what's his name? The south of the border, right here now.
Here's a guy that bought 400 shares of MMTLP at $9. That's what I don't think I paid $9, but I think I paid for my small position like $8, $7.90 something. So stupid.
Think how criminal that is, that whatever dollars you put into it, that FINRA and the SEC have not given anyone an answer in over a year. No answers. It's remarkable.
Well, I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? They just wanted to chill the squeeze. And now they're hoping to buy back stock instead of having to pay in a squeeze. Oh, well.
I told you before, time is a killer of all deals. Time. See how they're trying to let GTI unwind? Time, TIME, kills people. People move on with their lives. There was a gentleman that just passed away on MMTLP. I forgot his name. Something about a pencil. I forgot. That was his nickname. I forgot. But that's the second person that I read about that passed away with MMTLP. Time is a killer. People pass away. That's what happens. People give up. The SEC's a disgrace. So besides giving these guys the leverage and everything else and not settling the trades, they drag it out so everybody loses anyway. That's what they do.
That my best client, or at that time in my life, my best client, that's exactly what he would tell me. Time kills all trades. He was a trader. I would tell him, hold on. No. Let's get out. Time kills all trades.
It's a killer. Just people move on. And the worst people to get into your stocks are Wall Street people, because Wall Street people have no patience. You're talking to one, right?
Yeah.
All right. That's why we're not doctors. We have no patience.
Well, you weren't.
That's a rich and not legal advice joke. No one even got it.
I got it. It's not that funny.
Well, there you go. It's a Richard joke.
You're not rewarded on Wall Street for that kind of patience. You're not rewarded for it.
No, they listen. Their game is to move money around as fast as you can. That's what it is. And that's why you get all this crazy activity in these names. They're up and down because they want people to trade it. It's a casino. It's a rigged casino.
That Christopher is saying that was Carrie, who she passed away. She
Oh, is the woman passed away? I thought it was the
Yeah,
guy.
I think it's a woman. She is the sixth person who has passed away of the
In
three.
MMTLP?
That's what Christopher's saying. Yeah.
If people that have been with me for a while, one of the first things I told everyone, I says, naked short sellers kills people. Now, I don't know how these people die, whether they have diseases, I don't know. But stress, things, it's a killer. The whole thing is a killer. Why do people have to, if they are sick, they have to worry about their stock position or their money? Now, everything about it is disgusting. Everything about it.
His handle is number 2 pencil.
That's what it was. I just,
yeah.
something like that, yeah.
So Andy Avils is asking, he's been here a long time, is GTII dead?
No, I don't believe it. I think there's something happening. Listen, they just keep moving it down. Look what they do in the finger. Look at the patterns. Every stock. It's funny, the market goes up and I look at the stocks I follow, 30 or 40 of them. And out of 40, 29 are down. The rest of them are unchanged. The market's up 150. Every day it's the same thing. They keep marking down, like MULN, all these stocks that got shorts in it, they just keep pushing them down. And
So,
the SEC is allowing it.
So Augustine wants to ask you, if people were to buy higher than the ask on finger, would that make it difficult for the short sellers?
Listen, we've tried every crazy thing possible. When the last time we were at 719, my friend bought 450,000 shares around 720, right there. They sold it to him. As soon as he was done, they marked it down and attacked it down. So buying pressure, it does help, but you need millions and millions to come in to buy it. And that's why I always say accumulation, a penny a day, 2 pennies a day, walk it back up, nice and slow. That's the best way to play these things. If you go to buy 100,000 shares, they let you run up, pay to 3, and then they offer it at 280 as soon as you're done. That tells you that there's shorts are here. When you see that pattern of trading, that's 100%. That's the shorts.
What do you think? This gentleman has a pretty deep knowledge of the markets. Kitteridge, he thinks the market is dangerously high, and the GDI, I don't know what indicator that is extremely low. It feels eerie again. I'll leave it at that. I actually think we could have a blow-off rally that takes the market much, much higher soon, and then it'll crash. But anyway, what do you think of the overall market, if you have any idea?
Well, listen, if they do take it up, William, and they drop it, that means they're putting in they're trying to put a floor in from a total collapse. That would be orchestrated by the government.
Yeah. Someone's asking you, I didn't know that you had a target for MMTLP, but this guy Anthony's asking you, have you changed your target settlement price for MMTLP from $25, or have you increased it? I never heard you pick it.
Listen, I don't know it. Maybe I said it. I think it's going to be higher. They'll start out lower. If you were to short, what would you start out with? The stock high was 11. The short's going to come back and say, hey, offer these people $20. And everyone's going to say, F you. But then there's people that are starving that need their money, and they may want to take it. So after the first round of people bail out because they want their money back and want to move on and be happy to double their money, then they'll have to move the bid up to 25, then 30, then 35. Then you get the John Bertas and the other guys that own the big position saying, screw you. Just follow what they do. Just follow what John Berta does. He's your guy. He's a great guy. I knew him I knew him from Torchlight, and I couldn't believe that he was still involved when it became this thing. When it became MMT, I was like, John, you're still doing this stuff? And I met him in Puerto Rico. He told me all about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think John Berta's completely honorable.
And then then the SEC served them, right? They went after him. They made a big stink about
Well,
it. Right?
apparently MMAT's settling on that Wells notice regarding him, which I think that's typical lawyer. Let's reduce our risk. I wouldn't settle. Berta did nothing wrong, but anyway.
No, listen, he wasn't even, no, I agree with that.
Rudy Myers wants me to tell you that Rudy knows people who know people if your life is being threatened.
Well, Rudy, thank you. But we all know people that know people. And I appreciate it, Rudy. And I would love to sit down with Rudy and his people.
I think he's in Florida, so next time you're there.
Oh, okay.
Frank says, don't throw your garbage in Ace's lawn.
Tell Ace I'm stopping at, I just passed the sign, we bear all. I guess it's a strip club. I'm reading you the signs as I'm going by.
Is it for men or women? Because maybe Ace does his
I went
work
past
there.
to doing 80. I don't know. I'm right at south of the border now. If anyone's ever traveled on 95, the big sombrero, it's right here.
Last chance
Right here.
to buy fireworks.
Last chance to buy, please.
Do you think
Stop.
Elon would be shorting MULN? I guess the rest of the thought is so he could buy the technology on the cheap. Their battery technology.
I told you what the shareholder told me.
Yes.
I told you a long time ago. They said that their battery technology was very good.
Yeah.
He told me two things. Elon Musk speaks with that CEO, and BMW was interested. That's all I knew about it. That's it. I never seen their cars. I didn't even know they were making cars. I never followed the stock. Welcome to North Carolina.
Welcome to North Carolina.
How's that? The Cargan told us.
North Carolina.
So, oh yeah. So that I spoke with the CEO MULN. He dragged his feet, and for that reason, he wound up getting slaughtered. He reversed the company 3 times already. I don't know how much he reversed it. I can't remember. Whenever a company reverses the stock, it's over with. Get what you can get and get the hell out of it.
I love that you said that the world's biggest reverse split is coming in Vocal.
That's what we're hearing. We're hearing the mother of reverse splits are coming in Vocal.
What does that stand for? MOARS. Mother of all reverse splits.
He's come up with I hear he's come up with a brilliant plan, but it's not my business. I don't care. Let's see if he does it. Let him put his foot in his mouth first before we say anything that we know. I told you Wall Street's a small place, right?
Can you, I don't know if you just did, but can you do it again? Can you talk about what's the vote on for ZJYL and what impact it'll have on the stock price? Might have.
People trying many different ways to get the shorts. ZJYL, I guess they figured out that they own more shares that are in the company. And I guess that group of people decided to fight back. And they're doing, since the company has a very small float. Remember, the float is the most important thing in your company. And it's so small. All right, that's what makes it so wild that it trades like that because it's so small. So they're going to increase shares into the float. So if there's 1 million shares, they're gonna raise it 20 to 1, right? So it'll go up to 20 million shares, right? Correct? Am I correct on the math?
I think you're right about that. 1.3, call it 1 times 20 million, yeah.
Right. So if you're short 1 million, you are now short 20 million shares. Congratulations. Because it is a forward split, the price does not go up, the price goes down. it reflects the new shares and it goes down. The reverse that we always see, okay, the stock prices, the shares go from 20 million shares down to 1 million shares and the price goes up. This is the opposite. And in this way, it puts margin pressure on the shorts. They're short 20 times more. So the gentleman, I call him gentleman, the scumbag that's actually short that stock, ZJYL, he's posted on Twitter. I forgot the name of the guy. He posted on Twitter that he's calling the NASDAQ and the SEC up, and he wants them to shut down the stock because he believes it's a fraud. Then he says at the end of the day, by the way, I am short the stock. So again, if he was a real player, he should have came out and said, hey, I think this company is a fraud. And I reported it to the SEC and the NASDAQ. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go out there and short it personally after he made the stink. But these guys all do the same thing. They short it and they distort it. Distorted is what? I'm calling the SEC it's a fraud. There's the distortion, right?
Right.
Like Capybara did. The company's a fraud. Everything's a fraud. Everybody's a fraud related to this company. Meanwhile, he's hiding. Mark Bazil's going after him, and he's running like a coward, he said. Right? He's been summoned to the court, the Southern District, quit on that. All we're waiting for is the judge to sign off on the final claim that these guys that he defaulted. That's all we're waiting on. That never showed up in court. Then Mark is going to get Interpol and go after him and put an arrest warrant out for him.
A reminder, please. How many short sellers are a parasite to finger? One.
Listen, everybody on the call, let's look at it this way. We're all short sellers. And let's say Lynn Partners calls us up and says, hey, guys, why don't you go short this finger? Each one of us is going to say the same thing. Are you short already? He's going to say, yeah. How big? 200 million shares. And they're going to say to him, and you want me to short it? If you ever get forced to cover, I'll lose everything I own. If you get caught covering. And Jeff Lynn's going to say, no, they won't get us. But they're going to say, your name is all over the place. If they do catch you, we're all going to get roasted. They're going to say, no, thank you. I would never short it. I'm going to short a stock at $2.60 that I can make $2.60 and lose everything. It can go to the moon. No way I would do it. So that's your answer, that nobody would go out there and short this stock. It's only one person doing it.
And
MULN, Tesla, all those big crazy names, you got multiple short sellers. Not us. We have one. We may have guys intraday selling 20,000 shares under the instructions of Jeffrey Lynn, trying to help push it down. But those guys try to cover by the end of the day.
Not Legal Advice says NVIDIA is doing a 400 to 20 to 1 reverse split. I'd looked it up. I don't see it, but I think he's serious. The stock's making new highs. It's on the way to being worth $2 trillion.
They're doing a reverse split?
That's what he's saying. 420 to 1 reverse split. And I know it's not a joke.
It's probably a forward split.
420 to 1.
They bring the stock down. When you do a forward split, okay, they're going to take the volatility out of it and bring it down. So let's say they do a forward split. It's 500. Let's say where is it? 560, 570.
Oh, they're gonna bring it down to $52 or something.
Right. So it takes the volatility out of the stock.
Right.
Right now it's too volatile. The stock's up and down 20 points a day. If they take it to $50, the stock's going to go up and down $2. It changes the game on the stock.
Gotcha.
Good morning, affected area ahead. Please proceed with caution.
Are you going by Ace's house? Please
No,
proceed with caution.
It said there's a flood warning issued by the National Weather Service ahead. The sky is completely blue. Either I'm driving into the ocean. I don't know what's going on.
Is there a deadline? It hasn't been announced yet, but I assume it'd be shortly after, maybe 10 days or less after. Is there a deadline to be in ZJYL for the forward split?
I think the forward split's gonna get approved on the 29th or something like that.
Yeah.
That's when they release the results.
Yeah.
As soon as tomorrow's the forward split. That's it. That's the record date. And everybody who's long by that record date will get the forward split. They can't announce a record date till they get approval of it, right?
Right. Gretchen is dying to know how we met. It's not all that interesting. It's like that. It's like that Arthur movie.
I was at the train station, and William was standing getting his shoes shined, and he asked me, "Hey, you the shoe shine guy?" And I said, "Yeah." So I shined his shoes. That was it.
It's like that Arthur movie when Susan, the turtle comes up to him. Susan comes up to him and says, "Arthur, what happened to us? We used to be so happy." And he looked at her and said, "And then we met."
We have a mutual friend that introduced us.
Yeah, very good guy, a gentleman who posts on Twitter, but I'm not going to say under what guise. But he's a complete gentleman, and that's how we met.
Super smart, very smart guy. William and this gentleman belong on the same page. I'm the oddball. I don't belong here.
That's not true. You and Ace are unflappable.
Oh, we're unflappable. That's a different story. I didn't say I was smart.
Can you ask Cam about the GDC price prediction and how soon?
Oh God, I'm so sick of this stock. I'm down 50%, but my good friend owns 1 million shares. To a guy I trust. He paid $4 for it. We paid $3.80, I think. I think William paid $3.76 or $3.65, something like that.
Yeah, I paid over $3.
So again, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for lightning to hit. But my friend told me it's going to 50. So to me, that means get out at 25. I don't know. I have no idea.
And
when? I've done no research into the stock at all, William. I've done zero.
I know, but that's, in fairness, that's how Wall Street is. If you start to trust somebody, they call you. That's different than taking a hot tip from somebody you meet at a cocktail party. If you're working with someone who trades a lot, hey, look at this. You take a bet on it.
What did you call it? Take a boot on it? Is that what you called it before?
Take a punt.
A punt. All right.
GDI is gross domestic income. All right. It was out of context. I thought it was some sort of indicator. What Ham are you hearing about the $1.2 billion stock, Northwest Bio?
I haven't heard it. I just told you what I know. I gave you the history of 10 years of following that stock. I've heard before that the doctor, Dr. Aziz read the papers a long time ago. He's a famous oncology surgeon. And he thought when he was at UCLA that this thing was he said that years ago, he thought he'd get approval. The data, everything's been going good. And, the stock just goes lower. I don't know now.
I like this. Robert Kupke forward split his company.
I got to call Robert back. Robert, I apologize. I'm driving. When I stop, I'll give you a call.
I know. And you all met and you didn't return his call.
Listen, Robert is as big as Frankenstein. He's a big guy, man. A big.
Is he as
guy.
big as Frank Howard or Mickey Mantle or?
He's as big as Frank Howard. He's a big guy.
Frank Howard is one big dude, or was. Um, he forward split his company 3-for-1, and the stock moved up several thousand%. So that's a good sign for ZJYL.
Robert would know. Robert's a very smart guy, knows the industry very well. I met him in New York City. I've been speaking to him. Very smart guy, and I thank him for his information. And I'll try to help you out what you asked me to do. And I apologize I didn't call you. I've been driving. That's why.
Oh my gosh. Mrs. Number 2 Pencil had cancer. And if they had had the money from MMTLP, they would have been able to give her better medical treatment. Her husband spoke on Twitter. It's very sad. It is.
You made me sick. Sick. I told you it's a disgrace that the SEC, that Gary Gensler is a disgrace.
Yeah, he is.
Could care less. That poor woman had to suffer because their money's locked up. I told you, it's just a killer. I said that 1,000 times already. But instead, everybody wants to blame us because we're reporting on it. We're the bad people for reporting on it. You want to know something? We're here to stop tragedies like this happening. That's what we're here about. That's what it's about.
Not legal advice says he was making a joke. I found it hilarious. Laffy is asking, what is your opinion and when MMTLP will be resolved and what price?
We can't listen. The pressure's on. Yeah, listen. I know you're trapped. You wanted over yesterday, and that's what the shorts are facing the settlement on. Is people asking questions like that. They probably have eyes and ears to take the temperature of everybody that's involved in the stock. They could see the squirming and the whining of people that need the money. They that's what they do. They base it on fear. Let's see if these people are ready to crumble. That's what they're doing. That's the settlement will be based on that.
Here's something that I object to and I think should be illegal. But according to this investor, David or D. Mitchery receives quote unquote performance stock every time MULN splits while shareholders get crammed down. And that's right. I don't think that's fair, but the executives can keep their percentage ownership of the company while they screw the shareholders.
Listen, if you're involved in that stock, if you see what they're doing, the story's changed. Sell it, move along, take your loss, because it's only going to get worse.
All right, I don't see any other questions. KYP wishes you the best.
Hey, tell her I'm going to reach out to her. We're going to have a dinner in New York on Tuesday. If she wants to come, I could bring her in. She can meet some pretty big investors in GTI and Finger. When I got to my computer, I was going to direct message her, but tell her to see if she's open. I'll bring her in.
She's going to play Ohio Players when she comes on the court with her racket and her whatever the shoes are.
I forgot this. So what was the song the Ohio Players sang?
It was something about fire.
Fire, right.
Bum, 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 bum. If it were me, I would do the average white man picking up the pieces.
Picking up the pieces. Well, we'll figure that out. But again,
so anyway, KYP, direct message him. You're invited to dinner with.
I'll tell it when I find out when it is. Most likely it could be Tuesday night. It'd be Midtown, so you're welcome to come. And if you do come, if you got a drink in on, bring it. If not, just sit with me. I'm not a drinker, so you'll sit with my section, the girly section.
If Nextbridge were to trade on T0, would dark pools be allowed? Or is T0 strictly a lit exchange?
I think T0's got, the SEC has been clamping down on those guys too. The SEC is trying to shut down any way that you can expose the system. So again, I don't know what's going on with T0 since Pat left. They had a lot of turnover. Listen, time is a killer. People work for these companies. You can't work for free. You got to move on. That's what happens. Talent moves away. That's what happens.
When finger runs, if it runs, or what's an indication before it runs, what kind of volume would indicate to you that we're in the middle of an upswing? Is it
When they
1 million,
stop
5
selling-
million,
when they
10
stop
million?
selling, it's going to have the same look as ZJYL, believe it or not. You don't need to have a lot of volume. The short is going to be buying. If you don't sell it to them, they're going to keep buying air. They got to keep moving higher. So that's it. The only reason you see volume, a lot of volume now, is because they wash a lot of trades and they create the volume. But when they're starting to cover, they can't do that anymore.
How come they cannot find shares for the GTII dividend, but they are able to find shares to sell at brokers day in and day out?
Right. That's because the system is rigged. What can I tell you? You know it. Listen, your own broker is robbing you. Your broker can't find the shares. They owe you the shares. Instead of doing what they're supposed to do and getting delivery of the stock before the record date, they did nothing. They let the shorts hold their position. And when the dividend came out, the brokerage firms are telling you, we can't get it to you. Or if we do get it to you, it's going to cost you a fortune to get it. Or if we do get it for you, you take it, you get it, you got to take it out of here because we don't want you to trade it here. They've lied to everybody because they're trapped.
Right.
And the management of those firms, if they get subpoenaed, will all say the same thing. Well, we don't have it, we're short. That's what they're going to say. How'd you get short? Well, we never called in delivery when the people were selling it short, and now we're stuck. That would be the answer on the oath.
Wouldn't it be smart to have GTII run first? Well,
I don't care what runs first. Something runs first. That's all. One will lead to the other.
yeah, it feels like everything we talk about, they put the pressure on to keep it down. But if I had to pick one, it's going to be this ZJYL that's going to pop first. But who knows?
You picked a stock with less than 1 million shares in a way. What you're picking like a favorite. You're picking a horse with 4 legs, and we have 3-legged horses.
Exactly.
That's what you're doing.
I'm picking the tip sheet. Best
bet
of the day.
You can have your ZJYL. I'll stick with the 2 horses that I follow. I think Finger Motion's going to go because I believe they have the fundamentals to really light the candle. Once Finger Motion goes, my team will trample GTII like you've never seen before.
That's what I keep saying over and over again, but they're like twin sons. They're going to trade together a little bit. One will go and the other one will follow.
Right. That's what's going to happen. One's going to follow the other. So the one with the least resistance is going to be Finger Motion because Finger Motion has fundamentals that are pretty solid. And I guess when we start seeing some of the news from these things, that's what's going to drive it to the moon. It's been a long time. It's been quiet. That means things are happening. So that's how I look at it.
Do you think broker dealers are buying real GTII shares down here at 20 cents to give as dividend?
No, they don't. The broker dealer would rather spit on you than help you out. They're not losing a penny. The only money the broker deal's wasting on you is having some guy answer the phone telling you they're not going to get your shares, whoever that person is.
with a forward reverse split, wouldn't the margin requirements stay the same in because 20 times more shares short, but 20 times less stock price?
The margin, they'll have to put up more margin because of well, listen, if you're short 1 million shares of this thing at 100, they probably have to put up who knows how much money their prime brokers demanding they put up, right? Because it's a liquid.
Yeah.
So that is a hefty number. But when they forward split it 20-1, they can sit there and say, okay, and stock is going to go to $5. Hey, you know what? We want you to put up not $1. We want, if you're short so many, your concentrated short is so big now, you may have to put up, $10 or $15 a share. Determines the price. They determine how much that
I think that's right. If you do a 1 for 20, what does it work out to? $5 a share?
Listen,
They might ask for $10 or $15 in requirement.
Listen, like Bob just said, the prime brokers know when you do a forward split, you're doing it to torture the shorts. There's no question about it. So
Right.
they all know. So they're not going to let you off the hook if you're the short by putting up, if the stock's $5, they're going to make you put up $2. They're going to make you put up 7, 8, 10 because they're going to be protected. And look how many shares you're short.
Right. Do you think ZJYL runs first?
No, William does.
Okay. Can you, Hams, explain what's happening with Finger at the end of January? Something about the CEO speaking.
Keep left onto I-95 North to Stone.
The CEO speaking in Atlantic City. Someone told me it's 3 days. I don't know.
It's a small cap conference.
Right. I should go down there and introduce myself to every CEO and just basically tell them, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. I should just walk around.
This is a good point. If MMTLP were to settle or people got cash, a lot of these stocks, we could almost pick one.
Well, listen, if MMTLP settled, let's say MMTLP settled and the news comes out and there's a monster short and everybody's getting $100 a share on the settlement. You don't think people are going to go out and buy Finger Motion and GTI just based on that?
Yeah.
And the shorts can't stop it. They can't do anything about that. So that's their problem. These 3 stocks are tied to the hip. The only difference is MMTLP, you can't make any money on because it doesn't.
Yeah. This one guy's asking, I'm checking. He could check himself, but he's asking if there's any options on ZJYL. No, there are no options on ZJYL.
I guarantee you, when they do the forward split,
there will be.
Maybe you'll see them pop up after that.
Yeah, which will give them a way to hedge, I guess. But it might give us a way to put some pressure on it to the upside.
Right. Hey, listen, again, I got enough headaches. I'm just watching that stock for sport. I'm not, I'm just watching it and learning like you're doing. And that's Wall Street. You have to start to follow different things and understand it because each stock in each situation is a different story. You got to figure it out.
Do you know the stock SAVA? I think it works on Alzheimer's drug or something, SAVA.
No,
Cancer, maybe cancer stock, but it's being crushed along with NWBA.
Sam Apple, Victor Apple, right?
Yeah, Sava.
I probably have, but I don't remember it. It's like $11 or something like that. Is that $11?
Let me see. I don't know. Cassava Sciences, $26.
Yeah.
12. It was as low as 12.
Right.
Completes dividend distribute. There, it completed a dividend distribution of warrants to shareholders.
There you go.
I wonder if it was like GTII. There are no options for ZJYL yet. Psychologically, it's easier to move a $5 stock to 20 than a $100 stock to 400, says Robert Kepke. That's why he
that's
called
correct.
you. He wanted to tell you that. No, I'm teasing you.
That is true.
What do you think in MMAT of the gigantic volume in the stock lately?
I haven't followed. They did a debenture. Didn't they raise money or something?
That's what I was wondering. They were doing this huge raise, but there was a little bit of a shareholder revolt, and I don't know the status of it. Yeah, it was Alzheimer's for Cassava Sciences. Been in GTI since the March of 21. I'm either an idiot or a huge idiot, but I'm with you all the way. Got finger first at 7, playing with house money. But what the hey? The system is all fraud.
The last line, I thank you for being with us. You're not an idiot. I'm glad you recognize that what we're saying, it's all fraud. I told you about Lou from Brooklyn. He saved a woman from putting $200,000 into the equity market. She was picking her own stocks or whatever she wanted to do. She needed help. And he told her, go out and buy real estate. That's what this is about. See, you need to protect people that don't know what's going on. This is they take everything from, they don't even leave a penny. That's how crooked these guys are. It's not even a penny.
So I'll ask you. I'll ask you. Could we experience a public digital dividend in MMTLP's settlement?
I don't.
We don't know.
Again, I don't follow it. I don't know. Ask John Berta. He's on Twitter. Ask him. He'll tell you.
The MMAT shareholders shut down the reverse split and request to sell more shares. See, that's good. That's what your not a lot of people, but I give credit to him for being the prime mover on all this. Ham is
I don't like the credit. You can take the credit. Excuse me.
Ham is a real estate pumper. That's
Yeah.
from Not Legal Advice. I think I'm going to block him forever because he's picking on you.
Everyone should buy property on East 57th Street on the building on the corner.
I was listening to Trump I guess he was getting Tim Scott was saying I'm for Trump. But anyway, Trump was talking about one of his buildings at 40 Wall Street or something. He said he lost the tenant. He wouldn't say who it was, but I imagine it was Dwayne Reed or CVS, a drugstore, left because everyone was stealing all of the.
Yeah, that's it. That was in the bottom. It's right by Deutsche Bank, I think it's right.
Yeah, it's down. He says a great location, but I lost a tenant.
Right. Listen, it's a crazy world. What are you going to do? You know what? When he steps back in, they'll start putting law enforcement will start taking control. I saw a video on Twitter of a young woman being attacked by a man with a knife, trying to rape her in the middle of the street. And the cop came out and shot the guy in the middle of the street. These people are coming from different countries.
Did you see the one where a cop got out into the street to direct a woman to just move out of the lane because there was a car, some sort of accident? She sped up and hit the cop. She just turned her car into him and flipped him over the front of her car. She was stoned.
Listen, the world's crazy.
She said he should get the F out of the way. I hope it taught him a lesson. And they're not going to charge her with anything. You can imagine the privileges she had versus him. I don't know why anyone's a cop anymore. I don't know why anyone.
Well, they're not. I have friends. You know what my friends do? They're in the patrol cars in Manhattan. When you go to wave them down, they drive right past you with the lights on. Until there's a dead body not moving anymore, they don't want nothing to do with it. They just drive right by. why would you go? Because you pull out your gun, you get in trouble. So why would you bother? So they don't even bother. They just drive right by.
So one gentleman saying good morning from Germany. I think that's where he is. Bunny Chico says that GDC is going to abyss. Well, anyway, Bunny, it's just a punt. It could go to zero, but you know, you got big whales buying it for some reason. So, Bunny, I'm not pushing it, telling you to buy it. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it.
Short it. I don't care.
Short it. Short it.
I can so
Is the left 2 lanes to keep left onto I-95 north towards Dunn.
So listen, the people, you listen, make your own decisions. You don't have to tell me what you're doing. I don't care. Do whatever you want. You want to short it, short it. I don't care.
Oh wow, I didn't know that Deutsche Bank. But
Keep it
Deutsche's in trouble, you know. Deutsche Bank is in trouble. Here's somebody calling in from Kenya. Wow.
Wow. Continue straight on.
Welcome.
Well, make sure you take care of the elephants and the baby rhinos.
Yeah,
I donate money all the time.
I love elephants, the rhinos. I can't believe some of them have gone extinct. The different, you know,
Yeah, they keep
the
trying to
North
save them.
African black rhino and the
They're trying to save them. People kill them for that.
they kill them for this snout because it makes their private
think that's
thing
medicine.
bigger.
I think it's medicine. So who knows? Anyway, it's a disgrace, and you know, I'm driving on 95, and they should take the prisoners out of prison and make them walk along the highways to give them time off so they can get out earlier, just to clean the roads. There's so much trash along the highway.
Bunny has 2,000 shares of GDC at $3.20. That's, I mean, you can
I'll
feel
get an
bad.
answer for that next week. I'm going to make KYP tell you what she heard on it when she's at that dinner.
So the thing about GDC or any stock, it's very rare that you can buy the stock at its cheapest price or right when it's going to turn around and go up. So,
but listen, William, there's plenty of people that are very good at that, always buying at the low and always getting it 1 minute before it turns up. If people tell you they do that all the time, they're lying. That's very hard to do.
Very hard to do. So a lot of it is, all right, I like it, and then inevitably you overpay, and then you got to wait a few months. But the juice is worth the squeeze, maybe. Are those just empty words, or is Deutsche Bank really in trouble? I guess you don't read the news, but Deutsche Bank has been in trouble, and I'd be surprised. But anyway, don't listen to me.
Deutsche Bank. I met a guy with John Berta at a party in Puerto Rico, and he said he used to work at Deutsche Bank, and he said it was the Wild West there.
Yeah.
He runs a hedge fund now. He runs a hedge fund. The guy, he's an investor, but he said when he worked at Deutsche Bank, it was like the Wild West.
I'm not going to, because I think the market's going to go have a blow off top first, but I could be wrong. But of the banks that could be under severe downside pressure, Deutsche would be at the top of my list. But maybe one of the Swiss banks, there's only one left. Maybe Bank of America. But anyway, you do your own due diligence. In my judgment, Chris, Deutsche Bank is in trouble.
Listen, we're having conversations about Wall Street. Wall Street is about people talking about different ideas. The big hedge funds used to have a thing called an idea dinner. I think the SEC banned it on them because they used to all meet, all these big, powerful hedge funds, and they all show up with their ideas, and they all got a chance to present whatever stock they thought was their best in their portfolios. And I think the SEC shut that. That was done by, I can't remember the firm. My friends used to work there. Oh goodness.
Casino.
You would never know the name. I'll think about it as we go along.
Ham, sausage, and spam.
Monest crispy heart.
Wow.
How's that one? You thought I would remember? William?
I didn't know the name.
that was a very powerful firm, that small boutique that did business for everybody. And they used to spend, they'll probably spend 200,000 on a dinner. And 20 people show up and present. And it was very, very, high level people that would go to that.
Wow. So
My friends worked there. My friends worked on the trading desk there.
do you have any recommendation on the finger proxy? Would you vote for the CEO and the rest
Yes.
and the rest of the people listed?
Vote with the company. Yes, I would vote with the company.
Who's the English woman in your car?
It's the car. I'm just driving, and every time I pass something, it keeps me awake every once in a while. I'm supposed to arrive at 3:46 at my destination. My legs are stuck in the bend formation. I got to get out and move soon.
This guy has 68,348 MMTLP. You're going to be rich. I'm going to have to call you sir.
I hope it goes. I hope you.
Manual when it is safe to do so. You can find it in your glove box or Lexus mobile app.
I don't know what she's telling me, but I think I'm going to get off and see what the hell she's talking about. She's telling me to check out my car, so hopefully it still goes.
Well, anyway, when he gets the money, he's going to buy finger and GTII 50%.
Well, listen, I think you should take your money and run. Go to the hills,
Yeah,
get
that's
rich,
what I-
go buy something, and go hide.
I think you're going to
appreciate
be
your
so
effort.
bloody rich, you should just get out of the market.
You can buy one chair, go run with your money, stay away from this fraud market. You've been on the front line of real fraud, and you know what? If that doesn't scare you away, that they could take your money for a year and no one address it, it's just amazing. So, all right, William, I'm going to jump off because I'm still driving fast, and
All right.
I want to get there. All right, everyone, have a great weekend. Thank
All
you.
right, bye.
Call ended.
Shanghai pill, Shanghai Lil never used the pill. Every picture tells a story, don't it? Fluoride Phil. You know what, Fluoride Phil? I'll answer that question, but you're just a shill, so I'm gonna answer it quickly. So GTII not going to run now. You're something, Fluoride Phil. I don't think Ham's changed his story on GTII for the last few months. He's been saying finger first, then the money will come back to GTII. I think I've noticeably pulled back on GTII, and for that matter, finger, over the last handful of months, because the market wasn't quite telling it. And Fluoride Phil, you never used the pill. Shanghai Lil never used the pill. I also spent quite a bit of time talking about tax loss strategies. So no, I don't think your now is appropriate. I do think, Fluoride Phil, that your friends have been very successful selling more stock. I am not breaking up with GTII, but if I had new money right now, I think I'd use finger first. But that's not saying sell GTII. I don't know what to say. As soon as I say sell GTII, it'll be up 1,000%. And I think GTII is a short squeeze play. It needs a little bit of catching lightning in a bottle, and we're working on that. So anyway, thank you, Fluoride Phil. For me, look, I'm making a call that is it's a risky call. The market shouldn't go up, but all in, I think there's so much liquidity out there that we're going into war. There's going to be more liquidity. And if I had to guess when, I'd say now. I'd say now. I think the blow off top happens while most people are talking about the market being risky and going down and a doom and gloom and the economy sucks and there's nothing going on. I think the Fed will be buying the Magnificent Seven right until Joe Biden is elected in whatever August, whenever the Democratic convention is. And I think what could drive the market up is all the other stocks, all the other, not just the seven, but all the other stocks catch up with the highly inflated prices. And it might be more of a story about the value of the dollar. It might be more of a story of inflation. It might be a story of where do we put our money, honey? No money, no honey. I love that. I love hearing that. I love hearing that. That's exactly what I would do if I were a ranger, park ranger in India or in Africa, and someone shot a tiger in front of me. I'd slaughter every single one of those people that shot that tiger or rhino. Did you hear about the teenager who failed his driving test? Oh, Lordy. He thought it was a crash course. As bad as Rodney Dangerfield. Somebody stole my wife's car. I said, did you get a good look at him? She said, no, but I got the license plate number. Where do surfers learn to surf? A boarding school. A duck walks into a bar and buys everyone around. He says, put it on my bill. Two Irishmen walk out of a bar. It could happen. I've got 7,000. Yeah, of course you will be rich. I mean, rich is relative. Look, guys, all of us, the measure for the rest of our lives is to have enough money to see it out until we go to the great beyond. I got so depressed listening to Richard Dawkins last night. What has a spine but no bones? A book? Are you getting all these jokes from Celeste? No, Corey, we're not rich again, but we all feel richer for your comments. I know I do, Corey. Thank you for stopping in. Oh, so now what? That makes sense. Shanghai Lil never took the pill. Let's see what the rest of those words were. Oh, used. Spent some time feeling inferior, standing in front of my mirror, comb my hair in 1,000 ways, but I came out looking just the same. Paris was a place you could hide away. It's such a great song. There it is. Shanghai Lil never used the pill. She claimed that it just ain't natural. She took me on the desk and bit my neck. Oh, people, I was glad I found her. Every picture tells a story, don't it? Every picture tells a story, don't it? Every picture tells a story, don't it? Thank you, Corey. Always thrilled to see your comments. How did Benjamin Franklin feel when he did? He was shocked. Jokes from a dad. I'll try to look at rum. All right. So you know what? These negativo people have me a little bit negativo, but we talked about Nextbridge. We talked about logic. I'd still say a couple people, oh, it's down. Well, okay, it's down. Yeah, you don't have to do it, but I think logic will be bought out. The shell will be bought out. And as a trade, you see it here at 4 or 5 cents. Here. This is the one I like. Shanghai Lil never used the pill. Those 3 peaks of Kilimanjaro, 1, 2, 3. If it can break through there on a tiny squeeze, you could have fun, but I'm not calling for that. More likely, these might be the targets in an announcement. A trade to 22, trade to 50 cents. You don't have to wait. It's just a trade. It's just a trade. Well, Rob, that's a very good point. I will caution everybody that Ham spoke to the CEO. And as of last week, the CEO is not listening to what Ham has told him. So that means, just like a lot of CEOs, they're going to listen to the lawyers. Lawyers are 1, slow. 2, the lawyers are going to recommend to the CEO, now you should do this because it's in the best interest of the shareholders and you can't get sued. And the lawyer can get paid. Lawyers aren't so magical. It's quite transparent that they're after getting paid. But they do it in a way that it looks like to a judge that it was all peaches and cream. I would agree with Rob that until the CEO and it's, for example, the stock I like, HNRC, is at 3 cents, and they could give a dividend of 10 cents. But the big cost, and they have a per share value of $2.32, something like that they announced. But the big thing is why? Why is it down here? Could it be toxic financing? Those are the risks with all these companies. If a CEO doesn't not only commit to fighting the shorts, if the CEO doesn't say, I'm not going to take a deal from a smiling placement agent, I'm not going to buy a jar of KY jelly, turn on the light music, and bend over, and I'm going to do the hard work of raising money on my own, then your companies are going to be destroyed. That would be a good idea. The insiders, the whales, tried to get CRTD to merge with GTII to catch them both out. But you had a CEO that thought it best to renegotiate the deal. And then briefly, trash GTII on the way out. What does it have? Do your own due diligence. Shanghai Lil. Shanghai Lil never. How does he say it? Shanghai Lil never used the pill. She claimed that it just ain't natural. The women I've known, I wouldn't let tie my shoe. They wouldn't give you the time of day. But the slit-eyed lady knocked me off my feet. God, I was glad I found her. You could never sing a song like that today. And if they have the words, I can tell you, to help you on the way down the road. I couldn't quote, Dickens, Shelley, or Keats, 'cause it's all been said before. Make the best out of the bed, just laughed it off. Ha! You don't have to come here anyway. So remember, every picture tells a story, don't it? Every picture tells a story, don't it? Every picture tells a story, don't it? And that goes on for 6 stanzas. Well, Dirty Randy, I think you make, in an impolite way, you make a good point about Wayland, then the Neo Exchange, then Ionic, and then this D-SPAC, this Aubrey SPAC, D-SPAC. And you wonder, does the moth always have to touch the flame or drawn to the flame? The kid touched the hot stove. But logic is no longer anything except a shell. But I think, Dirty Randy, the risk in logic is, even at 4 or 5 cents, and I think it's a significant risk, is that the CEO is Brent. And if he gets talked into a deal again that he's confident of, with, I'm just looking at the chart down here. It's 479, 0.0479. But if he gets talked into doing a deal that's, rather than a company coming and buying the whole thing, and instead they just go ahead and stay alive as a company, needing money, all that, the criminals will just move their short position into whatever the new company is, and they'll destroy it. So I agree with you, Dirty. That is a risk. If the wrong deal is done, and if they still are working with the criminals on Wall Street, you're right. The other risk, as I see it, is if a company comes in and buys Logic, by reverse merger, and let's say it's worth $500 million or 600, 700 million. But is it? That question, well, here's what the projections are, and therefore we calculate it's worth this much. If it's just take our word for it, it won't scare the shorts. And so, Dirty, I think while I like Logic right now because it's just a shell, and in my opinion, it's not going to continue as a company which Brent is the CEO of. I think it's going to be a reverse merger where the new company, let's call it Kinko's, let's say FedEx spun off Kinko's. I don't know anything about Kinko's, but let's say Kinko's as a spin-off was a $600 million valuation, and it was doing 50 million a year in revenue, and 85% of that was profits. Therefore, it had value on the New York Stock Exchange, and we would just own an eighth of Kinko's. That's the concept. And the CEO would be Fontaine Smoller. It wouldn't be Brent's son. I'm making it up. And rest in peace, Fontaine. I say that respectfully. What would the implication, Ham's gone, be of a consolidated retail collaboration? If retail collaborates, the SEC will come after us. If criminal shorts collaborate, the SEC applauds it. To direct register. Well, this, Justin, is what we can see in real time. This is what's going to be attempted with ZJYL. There's something like 1 million or 1.3 million shares in the public float. Apparently, it's well less than half of that that's legitimately out there to trade. There are a group of shareholders, wealthy shareholders, who own 1.3 million shares, 1.3 million, and the float, they own the float or more than the float. They are asking the DTC, they're asking their brokers to issue 500,000 of the shares they own into their own name, into physical shares, out of street name, transfer to the transfer agent in our name. And we'll see. So in other words, Justin, the impact it's going to have, they are voluntarily giving up their ability, probably, to be able to take a profit in 500,000 shares if ZJYL goes to $50,000 a share. But their thinking is on the 600,000 shares or the 700,000 shares they still own, they can make their profit. So they're testing your theory. The reason people don't do it otherwise is you won't benefit from the short squeeze. I like your singing better than the stock suggestions. Well, I don't think I'm particularly good at either, Corey. I'm glad if you have a good stock suggestion, glad to have you put it out here. Career change. I'm looking for a cool change. Cool change. Yeah. Sail on, party. Good times never felt so good. What are the positives? What are the positives? I don't know any, and I've said it all along. I don't know anything about the company. When I look at the company, it looks pretty, not much there. But I think the positives about the trading is that you have, and I'm not telling you to buy it. I'll tell you, Don, I sold my vocal when my last bit of vocal at massive loss when he recently came out and said that after his extensive due diligence, he could see no evidence of fraudulent selling. Well, that means for all of his brains and courage and integrity and hard work, he's a functional idiot. So I sold my Volcol at 0.0057 and I bought ZYJL. Is it because I know something about the company details? No, and it's not a fundamental story. Don, it's as simple as this. There's 1.3 million in the float. Insiders own 80% of that, and there's a group of whales that own 1.3 million shares. They're going to ask to take out of the DTC, to take out a street name, 500,000 shares. Could that cause the shorts? Because there's also reportedly a very large short position. Could that cause pressure on the shorts to buy in? Apparently, it's a lot of smaller shorts that don't have staying power. The stock just went to 550. It's down, but it could go back to zero. It could be a worthless stock. It could go to $4. Simultaneously, the company just put out to shareholders a 20-for-1 forward split. We'll see if it works. There are no positives. As far as I'm concerned, Don, there are no positives with the company. None. Zero. Yeah, maybe it's a piece of shit company. Corey says it's a piece of shit company. It may be. Don't know. Was AMC a beautiful company when it squoze? Was GME in a great position when it squeezerided? That's what makes markets. To me, you say it's too risky. Don't do it. Fluoride Phil. It's at $5. Risk reward. You risk 5 cents, and it could go to 50 cents. So risk reward. You're risking 5 cents, and you could make 50 cents. It seems too risky. Okay, buy. You know what's the best stock out there? Just go buy Nvidia. Go buy Meta. You're only risking hundreds of dollars, and it could go up 10%, 20%. That's less risky. I know short selling is getting banned in China, and you got to wonder why. Their stocks are down, and it's probably the banks are worried about being shorted. The banks and the property companies. No way ZYJL go to 50. You people are dreaming if you think these stocks are going up. Well, this Fluoride Phil's just along. He's not here to FUD you. And so we'll give his comments credence. These stocks, a stock like ZJYL is a complete punt. It is a complete lottery ticket. Complete lottery ticket. The whales told Ham, and Ham's having dinner with the whales next week, and maybe KYP too. The whales told Ham it's going to go to 35,000 a share. Who knows? But I'll tell you what. Please listen to Fluoride Phil. He never, ever uses the pill. He claims it just ain't natural. Sophie earnings pre-marker. Look, I have no idea. That these stocks do not belong to be, they're not like the bedrock of your portfolio. But I tell you what, if ZYJL goes up, that'll be fun for everybody. 17 shares. Will I sell it at 35, 40,000, 50,000? I'll probably sell it a lot sooner. Who knows? Well, don't Rob, don't make the mistake. He's a big boy. He's a shill. He's a paid basher. Here's one, BF Bullfrog, BFRG, doing amazing. Is that AI? Bullfrog AI? Yeah. By the way, my read on the market is really risky, really risky. Kit is probably right. All the indexes are nearing the cliff, so be cautious. Yeah, I would. But I stand by it. I think the market is, I don't know. I think the Dow could go to 40,000, S&P to 7,000. You just have a huge, but anyway, do your own. All right. So it's 6:32. I want to go listen to Every Picture Tells a Story, Don't It? Every picture tells a story, don't it? I want to listen to that whole album. You guys, those albums are in your father's collection, and so you think it's old funk, fuddy-duddy music, but there was nothing like borrowing your friend's convertible, putting the top down, and putting the tape in the player and playing. Every picture tells a story, don't it? Every picture tells a story, don't it? Yeah, Justin. I'm not. This is like buying when the lottery is $1 billion. This is like going and buying $20 worth. It's also relying on testing the power of some whales and what they're hearing and where they're putting their money. Um, Fluoride Phil, who never used the pill, he claimed it just wasn't natural. He's telling you you'll never make money on it. The odds are on all of these that the going's going to be rough at a minimum, or we lose money. But remember, 1.3 million shares these whales own. If they paid, I don't know if they paid $100 a share, but they might have. It went as high as 500. That's $500 million they put up. If it's half of that, they put up $50 million. These are people who are making a trade, and I don't think they'd listen to Fluoride Phil. So when I am telling you about it, and I bought 17 shares, I realize it could go to zero, go back to $4. But I also recognize that some pretty big players have put some pretty big money into it. I don't know. Maybe the next idea Fluoride Phil has, I'll put it in. Maybe it'd be better to put my money into 10 shares of NVIDIA, and I might be able to make $200. I'm not going to read that one out, Silver Minecart. But since you're going to be richer than all of us, I'll put it up here. All right, guys. Yeah, I'm slightly up because I bought some when it was really cheap. So I think my average price is 102. So I'm slightly up depending on where it closed. Hair? You mean from the musical? All right. I don't know how to love him the way he moves. Na, 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 na. But he's just a man, and I've had so many men before in so many different ways. He's just one more. Or is that Godspell? That might have been Godspell. I don't know any of the songs from Hair. I'll look it up. My account's not open, but I think it's right. I think it's $102. But I bought my first bit much higher, and then I bought my second bit in the middle, and then I bought the rest of it. I want to say I think I tried to buy it at $74, but I don't think I was able to get it off till it was either 85 or 89. So I'm in somewhere like 102, 105, 107, something like that. It's not a, it's not a wiener for me yet. All right, I'll listen to Hair, and I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. That was good to hear from Ham. I'm sorry I stretched it out because Ham, I guess, had told me to call him. I was waiting for him to call in. And oh, shocking by today's standards. Yeah. 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 There's a lot of shocking cultural references from just a couple of decades, 3 decades ago. It's amazing. All right. Miles Bradley. Peace, love, and happiness. I wish everyone a great weekend, and we'll get back together on Monday. Cheers. Cheers.